You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's show. I'm Crispin Powley, and I'm coming to you from Pickwick Lake. It is an impoundment of the Tennessee River between Wilson and Kentucky Lake. It's about 43,000 acres of smallmouth heaven. But guess what? We're not fishing for smallmouth today. My good buddy Jake Tippy has invited me down to fish for a little secret, and that's called big stripers. Rockfish, striped bass, call them what you want. I call them big time fun. We're gonna get out here, get rigged, get set up. You're gonna get some local fishing reports from your insider reporters. And while we're getting ready, I'm gonna send you back to the FSN studio for your weekend planning.
It looks like both days of the weekend will offer fair fishing conditions. The salooner tables are indicating peak activity will begin roughly around the dawn and dusk hours. Look for the sun to rise at 7:07 and set at 7:52. And evenings will feature a last quarter moon that is 50% visible. Stay with us for freshwater and coastal fishing information from around the region. Plus, I'll return with catfishing expert Chad Ferguson to answer this week's Ask the Pro question.
You know, we're out here today on the upper end of Pickwick Lake. We're actually going to be really what most people consider to be Wilson Dam. And it's a very overcast day. We got started late in the morning. I'm with my buddy Jake Tippy, and all I've ever heard about is this time of year how these big giant stripers get up here and get to running in the current. We're going to be throwing swim baits, hollow body swim baits, our Shadowlicious from Strike King, and we're going to be fishing current seams. We're going to be positioning the boat in the little gaps in the current and throwing into the heavy current and taking advantage of those big stripers positioning themselves. It's overcast, tons of current. The water temperature's in the mid to low 50s. And guys, we're gonna head out here and give them a go.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than a boat, it's a tracker. Mercury Outboards, go boldly. Lowrance and the new Hook 2, the world's easiest fish finder. And Louisiana Travel. Plan your fishing trip at louisianatravel.com.
By anybody's standards, that's a giant. And up here, that's just a pretty good one.
Yep, that's a pretty good one.
You have a color you like better?
I need a lighter color. That white and chartreuse one is probably the best. That's a stripe, probably.
Yeah. Oh, there's no problem.
That or drum. You don't think there aren't big bass out there?
That's a striper, dude. Or he's got me over something. I'm doing all I can do with him.
Yep.
I ain't got a good look at him yet.
Sure that's not a drum?
I'm not sure of anything. I'm sure that he's got me more than I've got him at this point. I think it's a tarpon. Dude, you talking about smash it.
Can we help you out?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yep. Let's make sure we don't crash that rock. They don't like you getting your hand down there. Hold that.
You know, one of the cool things about being up here is you don't know what you're gonna catch. I did not know what I had, and the truth of the matter is I didn't have this dude, he had me. What's that thing weigh, Jake?
He's probably 18.
That's a big one. So as you can see, there's a ton of rocks out here. And what's sticking up, obviously, is just part of what's here. We're fishing on top of, over, and around a bunch of the same stuff that's underneath the water. And here's the thing about fishing up here. This is not for everybody. This is a really cool place. You certainly can learn it just like he did. It is public water, so you're welcome to come up here, but I highly advise you just to be safe and use your head and don't put yourself or your equipment in peril over a fish. But I'm just glad he's on the trolling motor. We hadn't hit a single rock yet. I probably just jinxed us, but it's obviously it's like walking around in a landmine field.
Hey, it's dry on the western side of the state, really wet on the east side of the state, water rising, water falling, chilly one day, warm the next. Hey, it's springtime in Oklahoma. Anglers are having to adjust on a regular basis right now, but that's okay. That's exactly what Ravonda Bethel of Salisaw was doing, fishing Lake Eufaula with friends Steve Higgins, Don Gant, and Les Gibson. They were fishing the Crowder Rock Creek area and ended up with a really nice mixed bag of crappie and white bass. They spent time fishing the riprap down there and also the back of some of the creeks, double rigging, Bobby Garland 3-inch slab slayers, best color black hot pink. Now Toby Plunk of Claremore went a different route. He was fishing the smaller ponds because the large reservoirs are high, and he had good success catching some really nice crappie along the bottom in about 8 foot of water. He too was using a larger bait, but he was throwing the LaRue Rowley grub. And look at this big old white crappie that Lucas DeLong caught on Call Lake. That's Lucas's biggest crappie to date, and it is a beauty. Caught it about 11 foot deep on a Bobby Garland minnow minder. Hey, it's springtime, conditions are changing rapidly. Might catch them one day, not the next, but I know you can't catch them if you don't go.
There he is.
What you got?
Looked like a stripe. Like he came right off that rock. He's not very big compared to what we had been catching.
Just a 10-pounder.
Yeah, just a little 10-pounder. Boy, they fight though.
Yeah, they fight.
Golly. He's a little bigger.
He's bigger than what we thought he was. He's net size. He's still a tank. Another Shadalicious. So Jake, that's a by anybody's standards, that's a giant, and up here, that's just a pretty good one.
Yep, that's a pretty good one.
Let her go. That's the thing about it, when you let them go, there ain't no easing them in the water. They're gonna pull you in there with them. Woo! This internal swim bait head that I'm talking about, this is the 3/4 ounce. And what we did was we designed a head that would go inside a hollow bait. This will only work with a hollow body. And what it is, it's got a keel, so it makes a ballast. Swims very straight. So essentially this bait is hollow and this will be inside of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pinch it back here where the hook will come out, and I'm gonna use the hook point, and I'm gonna make a little small hole in the back of the bait. Just a little tiny incision right there, and you really just insert it, just like you would a head in a tube, for instance. Now what you've got is a bait that won't pull down off the head. It's perfectly centered, swims more horizontally than head down because all the weight's not out on the nose. Just a real lifelike natural action, and it lasts a ton longer. What's he weigh, Jake?
He's 30.
30-pounder.
There's another big stripe. That might be one of the big ones there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that would be a big striper. Every time he shakes his head, I feel like he's gonna break my arm. If you want to see what your tackle's made of,
That's right.
hook up to a couple of these dudes.
Yep. That is a good one.
You might want to grab that net. I called for the net on this one.
Oh, I don't know if this net's gonna make it.
You don't think a Lou's rod's tough?
I mean, I'm just gonna try to corral his head. Oh, it did.
My arms.
Oh my gosh. That's quite a bit bigger than the other one.
Folks, Don't do this if you have a heart condition. Don't do this if your doctor has told you not to perform strenuous activities. I wouldn't do this without a luge rod and reel. What's he weigh, Jake?
He's 30.
30 pounder.
There ain't no doubt about that one. Yeah.
Look at the girth on this fish. What an incredible, incredible fish. Well, I'm gonna put him back. I'm gonna give my arms a second to rest, and I'm gonna show you something here. We're on the upper end of Pickwick Lake, and as you can see, we're where the dam is discharging into the lake. The lake's actually pretty low right now. We've had a lot of rain coming through, and I'm throwing a 5.5-inch Shadowlicious. I'm throwing it on a Lew's custom speed stick and a Lew's BB1 Pro Series reel, 17-pound fluorocarbon, a 3/4 ounce internal swim bait head. It is totally a current deal. Too much current and it's almost impossible to do it. Too little current, they don't bite as good.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you by Fiberworks Marine Collision. When bad things happen to good boats. Now whether you need a older boat restored and brought back to like new condition, or whether your newer rig has suffered some damages from something like a boat dock or a rock, Fiberworks has the skills to get you right back out on the water. Now this week we're talking catfish, and specifically Lake Waco, where catfish guide Mike Houston says where you'll find the catfish will be determined by our spring weather here in Texas. First of all, if we have rains, if we have flows in the rivers and creeks, you'll find those catfish in the mouths and up in those rivers and creeks. They'll be chasing shad and looking for food. If we have a drier spring and the flow cuts off, you'll find them out on the main lake. Look for sandy points and longer drops near those sandy points. You'll find the fish up in about 1.5 to 2.5 feet of water. Of course, you'll use your prepared baits, your live bait, and your cut bait, depending on the type of catfish you're seeking. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by Fiberworks Marine Collision, when good enough just isn't good enough.
Hey folks, I'm Captain Greg Burn with this week's Fox Southwest Outdoors Report. Hey, spring is here on the Texas coast. Water temperatures have reached up into the mid-70s just this past week. Great things are happening. In Galveston along the north and south jetty, we're still catching lots of sheep's head in the 4 to 8 pound range. Live shrimp free-lined along the rocks. Toss those baits up there tight to the rocks. Work them out into 10, 15, 20 foot of water. Find out where the fish are. Sometimes they're tight to the rocks, sometimes they're out a little deeper. Also along the North Jetty right now, primarily the boat cut, channel side, big drum are still being caught. I mean some big black drum. Also, while we're fishing for the black drum, we're catching some big bull reds mixed in with them. Over in Chocolate, Christmas, and Bass Drop Bays, lots of flounder are showing up in the back lakes. Also, we're catching reds and trout. Just this past week, wade fishing Bass Drop South Shoreline, lots of redfish and trout coming on top waters. Chartreuse top waters seem to be working best. I just talked to Captain Charlie Paradowski over in Matagorda. He said fishing is good when the weather window allows. We're on a typical springtime pattern. Sometimes the winds are high, sometimes when they're light. You got to pick your days. But when the winds are high, they are jumping out of the boat, doing some wade fishing, catching some nice trout and redfish right now. Hey, if you have any questions about fishing the upper Texas coast or want to book an inshore, offshore, or nighttime flounder gigging trip, we also provide lodging now. Call the number on the screen. Hey, I'm Captain Greg Burn, and I'll see you next time.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lou's. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland. We know bass and crappie from heads to tails. And by Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades.
He's probably high 20s. He's not as big as the one you caught earlier, but man, if you look at that belly, I mean, they are eating.
What you got, Jake?
Oh, big stripe.
Big, oh, good.
It's gonna be a minute.
One of those hurry up and wait kind of thing.
I show pictures to people all the time and they go, these fish are actually in the Tennessee River? Well, I can promise you, they're here and they're healthy.
There you
Whew. 15-pound test. bass tackle.
Yeah, I mean, this makes you wonder how you ever lose a bass, doesn't it?
Oh, I know. All right.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't even know. Goodness, how you get him out. All right, Jake, what's that cat right there weigh?
He's probably high 20s. He's not as big as the one you caught earlier, but man, if you look at that belly, I mean, they are eating. They are chomping.
What are these fish up here? Are they just eating shad? Are they chasing gizzard shad, threadfin shad?
You know, I have literally cleaned thousands of fish, and I've never seen a bass or any game fish in their mouth.
Really?
I've seen drum, I've seen skipjack, I've seen all the shad that are up here, but never a bass. I mean, people give these guys a bad name.
Let's put him back so real quick, and then I want to talk to you for a minute.
All right.
About golly, Bill, you gotta be careful. They'll take you in with them.
Yeah. No kidding.
So, what is the trick? Is it all current and bait? Is it water temperature?
Water temperature right now for the big ones. You know, generally we come up here in, you know, mid to late April.
They've got just a food factory here, right?
This is a factory. I mean, all they have to do is open their mouth. If you see all the birds they're chasing bait, you can imagine what's going on underneath the water.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with your Fox Sports Louisiana Outdoor Report. Tell you what, we're talking fishing right now. As you can see, Captain Carlos and I in here in the marsh, we're doing a little bass fishing. We got a lot of wind today, but overall, right now, fishing is starting to get into the early summertime pattern. You can see here, we caught a couple nice bass. We're down here in southwest Louisiana. You got the Big Burns, you got Lacassine Reserve. Tell you what, lots of great small bass action, spinner baits, small frogs on top. Even if you get some clear water, 1/4 ounce rattle trap seems to be working good. Biggest thing is we still got some cold fronts coming through right now. So we're dealing with some winds and we're dealing with you know, fluctuating temperatures. But I tell you what, biggest thing is you get out there on the water, go fishing. For old Cajun Phil, who's on the camera, Captain Kevin Broussard, Captain Carlos said happy fishing and may God bless. We're going to see you next week right here on Fox Sports Outdoor.
Oh, there's a big stripe, boys.
Is it?
I just saw one bust down here too. We may be in them.
Big one?
He's all right. I don't think he's.
I've already seen what your he's all right look like. Problem is, I'm not a lot of help with the net because he's got to get just right. They are so incredibly strong, Jake. Tarpon fishing on the Tennessee River.
Right in there, like the net was made.
Here, dude, you hold him up. I'm tired of picking him up. I'm wore out. Look at this. That sucker is that wide. Look at that tuba. Good night. Guys, they don't get any bigger than that. And I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna call it a day. I'm tired. My arms hurt. My hands hurt. I'm bleeding. Thanks, brother.
No problem,
Thanks
buddy.
for sharing this with me. Guys, this is public water. This is an awesome place to come. Just like I said, be careful between your boat and getting whipped on by these big old fish. It's a full contact deal.
You can always watch our latest episode on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Catch up on past episodes by clicking the archive button and learn about fishing techniques and new gear at our how-to page. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for new fishing videos every day. Simply search for Fox Sports Outdoors and click the like button on Facebook and follow button on Twitter. And watch a new episode every week on any device by downloading the free Waypoint TV app on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Motor Guide's new wireless and easy-to-use XI3. XI batteries, powering the world forward. Waypoint Marine, the Gulf Coast's leading saltwater boating specialist. And Strike King, designed by the pros, fished by you.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Ask the Pro segment, where viewers get expert insights from professional insiders. This week's question comes from Robert, who asks, what is the best hook size to use for catfish? For the answer, we checked with Chad Ferguson of Catfish Edge Guide Service.
One of the mistakes I found that catfish anglers make when they're choosing hooks is that they usually go too small. Circle hooks are very popular for catfish for good reason. They're very effective, but for a circle hook to work correctly, you need to make sure that the hook is big enough. You need to make sure that the gap of the hook, the area between the point and the shaft, stays open and doesn't get obstructed, because if it does, a circle hook won't work correctly. Keep in mind that the mouth of a catfish is very thick. It's not like those of striper or crappie or other fish that have paper thin mouths. And for a hook to work correctly, that circle hook needs to be big enough to clear the outside edge of the mouth. And if you're catching larger fish, it takes a pretty big hook. So I like to use 8/0 or 10/0 hybrid circle hooks for most of my catfishing.
Thank you, Chad. If you have something to ask one of the pros, simply visit our website and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now let's take a look at this week's Big Catch winner.
It's time for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. This week's winner is Mark Hackney from Granbury, Texas, with a 6.5-pound brown trout he caught from Lake Taneycomo, Missouri. To enter the contest, go to foxsportsoutdoors.com, click on Big Catch of the Week box on the right side of the homepage, and follow the instructions to send in your big fish photo. You could have your own big fish shown here on our show. Here's the gear you need to catch those giant striped bass like we caught today on Pickwick Lake. We caught our fish on a 5.5-inch Strike King Shadowlicious hollow body swim bait. We were rigging it on a Strike King internal swim bait head in 3/4 of an ounce. And it is a great way to rig them. Your bait doesn't slide down, holds up real well to those big fish. And another critical component is the right rod and reel combo. I'm throwing a Lew's custom speed stick with a BB1 Pro. It's the Magnum Bass Rod 3. We caught stripers up to 30+ pounds on this today. Same rod I bass fish with, it'll handle the big stuff. That's the gear you need. Hey guys, I want to take a minute and talk to you about a segment called Stuff That Matters. You know, living in the outdoor community and being an avid hunter and an avid fisherman, I spend time with a lot of other men that are just as passionate about this as I am. And one of the things that I want to encourage you to do that I see so often is men have their family and then they have their hobbies. And I'm going to tell you something, man. The greatest ministry in your life is your family. Share the things that you're passionate about with them. Give a kid, give your daughter, give your son, give your wife a chance to experience life through the same lenses that you see it through. Guys, that's stuff that matters. Thanks for being with me today here on Pickwick Lake. I had a ball catching those big stripers with my buddy Jake, and I hope that you've learned enough that you feel like you could come up here and do the very same thing. Barry will be back with you next week, and until then, God bless.